Today, we're taking a close look at an investment proposal for a company called Microgreens. They're a vertical farm right in the heart of Manila, and we're going to break down their entire plan, the business model, the financials, and two pretty different ways they're inviting investors to get involved.
Okay, let's dive right in. Now, the single most important thing to get your head around here, and we are going to come back to this, is that every number, every projection you're about to see is built on what the company themselves call a pessimistic daily sales forecast. So they've deliberately set a very low, very achievable bar, not some best case scenario dream.
So what does this pessimistic forecast actually look like? Well, these are the daily targets that the whole business plan is banking on. We're talking just 80 kilos of microgreens, things like radishes, peas, broccoli, only 40 kilos of mushrooms, a tiny 12-kilo batch of nuts and dried fruits, and 100 kilos of mini cucumbers. That's it. That's the daily goal they need to hit. And here's why those small numbers are so important. You put them up against the backdrop of Metro Manila, a megacity with 35 million people. Think about it, thousands of restaurants, hundreds of premium supermarkets. Hitting these sales targets suddenly seems more than realistic. In fact, the company points out that just a few supermarkets could buy up their entire daily stock. For a city this massive, these volumes are just a drop in the bucket. They could probably double these numbers and it still wouldn't be enough. So how exactly does Microgreens plan to tap into this huge market? Let's take a look at the actual solution they've built. At its core, Microgreens is a high-tech vertical farm, and its location is absolutely key. They're in Bonifacio Global City, BGC, which puts them right on the doorstep of their high-end customers. They use hydroponics to grow premium stuff all year round, totally free of pesticides and GMOs. That means they can promise a fresh, clean, and, most importantly, consistent supply. All right, so that's the setup, but how does it all turn into a real, profitable business? Let's get into the engine that's driving their model. If you look at where the money's coming from, it's pretty clear that the high-margin microgreens are the main event. They're expected to bring in over 80% of sales. But what's smart here is that the product mix is diversified, with other popular items like nuts and mushrooms, and even some select goods they resell from partner farmers. This creates a bunch of stable income streams, not just one. Now, the bulk of their business, about 65%, is built on locking in stable, long-term supply deals with other businesses. We're talking about the premium restaurants, the big hotels, and the fancy supermarkets right there in and around BGC. This B2B focus is just crucial for generating that predictable, recurring revenue, especially right out of the gate. But they're not stopping there. At the same time, they're building a really strong brand for regular consumers. The other 35% of their sales are expected to come directly from health-conscious folks ordering right from the Microgreens website and their mobile app. This direct-to-consumer channel is great because it means higher profit margins and helps them build a super loyal customer base. Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of it. This is where the investor comes in. The company is looking for 58 million pesos to fuel their expansion, and they're offering two very different ways for you to get involved in their growth story. So here's the side-by-side. Option 1 is taking a 25% equity share. This is a long-term play. You become a part owner with a projected 25% annual IRR. Option 2 is a straightforward 24-month loan. This is a faster, fixed return with a really impressive 42.9% IRR, and it pays out over 80 million pesos in just 2 years. So it's really a choice between long-term growth as an owner versus a quicker, clearly defined profit as a lender. So let's dig a little deeper into that equity option, right? What does that journey actually look like for an investor who buys in? Well, the numbers they're projecting are pretty striking. This investment is really the key that unlocks some explosive growth. After a setup year in 2025, the model shows revenue just jumping to nearly 148 million pesos in 2026 once the farm is running at full capacity. And from there, it climbs to 232 million by 2027. And this timeline just maps out all the key moments so clearly. So, the 58 million peso investment goes in around August 2025. Just 2 months later, the farm is projected to hit break-even. Then, and this is fast, in a remarkably short 14 months, that initial investment is fully paid back through dividends. And by the end of 2027, your 25% share is projected to be worth over 84 million pesos on its own. So, let's just put it all together. What's the bottom line here? By the end of 2027, that initial 58 million peso investment is projected to grow into almost 120 million pesos in total assets for the investor. And that's a mix of over 35 million pesos in cold, hard cash from dividends you've received, plus the appreciated value of your shares, which are estimated to be worth almost 85 million.
And this brings us full circle, right back to the most important message of this whole proposal. All of these incredible projections, the super fast growth, the 14-month payback, the 120 million peso asset value, all of it is deliberately built on that super conservative daily sales forecast. Just 80 kilos of microgreens, 40 of mushrooms, 12 of nuts, and 100 of cucumbers. That's the floor, not the ceiling.
So, this really leaves us with one final thought. You've got a detailed financial model, and it's anchored in what seems to be some very achievable figures, especially for a market the size of Metro Manila. So the question is, could this be an opportunity to cultivate some serious growth in your own portfolio? Well, that's a question for every investor to answer for themselves.